Hi, this is Mike Pritchard, and I am honored to be with my good friend, Monsignor Harry Schlitt from God Squad, and I am welcoming you to Pritch and the Padre. And this is a new name for the show. It had been Padre and Pritch, and Monsignor wanted to switch it around, which is...
Why are you calling me Monsignor all of a sudden?
because I want to show to homage.
Yeah.
Homage, that's a French word for
It's better
being respectful.
You can say homage. You can't say welcome. That's what I like best.
Welcome.
There you go.
Welcome. But we're going to talk today. I'm going to let Monsignor roll out what we're going to be speaking on. But I just want to say that it's always a privilege to be with my good brother here and to have fun, laugh. And what we need now, more than anything else, is just community uncomplicated, really.
Yeah.
Just having fun, laughing together, thinking together, praying together.
Yeah.
And that's what we do at St. Vincent's Boys Center right up the road here. And just to be around other good folks, praying and praising and laughing and having fun.
And while we were doing that, because you were home taking care of your book,
Here we go. Guilt. Big
Guilt.
bag of rocks.
Guilt.
Here, Mike. Here's a big bag of rocks. Hold that for us sometime. Go ahead. Go ahead.
well, people miss you.
Oh, I know.
Yeah, that whole pew has been re-lacquered. He takes up a whole pew.
There's a huge capacity sign with a big red stripe right through it for me not to sit there because it was built in, I'm sorry, it was built in the 1920s. That wood, it may not last. I'm on maximum overload. I have a bumper sticker. It says, bulk up, big people are harder to kidnap. So go ahead.
All right.
Ahead.
Well, I'm trying.
All right.
So I thought we would call this little segment "A Tired Spirit," and there's a lot of words that Mike and I have used in the past about a tired spirit, but a tired spirit is best today by someone I think who is depressed.
Yeah.
They're just
Exhausted.
They're exhausted,
Right,
and
yeah.
they're exhausted from the COVID. They're exhausted from being quarantined. They're exhausted from not having the usual things, not having the socialization that they've had,
They're
going to work
isolated.
at the
Yeah,
office,
yeah.
and they have a tired spirit. So in reading the gospel a couple of weeks ago, St. Peter, who was known as Simon before he was Peter, he is fishing all night, the story goes, with his brothers, Peter, James, and John, and they're not catching anything. And then Jesus shows up, and Jesus, who's not necessarily a fisherman, says, "Hey, you guys, this is how you do it." And so their spirits are worn out, and all of a sudden, here comes this guy telling them how to do their job. So the secret of this is doing something you believe in. You can overcome a lot of obstacles. You know, we have the expression hook, line, and sinker. It's when you go for something and you do the hook, the line, and the sinker. If you're hooked on your faith or you're hooked on Jesus, it means, you're not going to just let it go. Karl Marx said religion is an opiate. It's a drug for people. But years ago, about 12 now, when I was sitting there taking chemo for my stage 4 colon cancer, thinking if I live through this thing, it'll be okay because I'm gonna have another life. But I looked around and I talked to people in the hospital, people who were taking the same deadly poison drug that I was, and they didn't have that kind of a background. They didn't have a belief or a strong character witness like Jesus to say, "Hey, you know, life's not ended, it's just changed.
Right.
So in that thing, you know, you get hooked on your religion, and then in fishing, I don't know if you ever fish, Mike, but there's a hook,
Yep.
and it has a barb on the end of it. Some of those, once you get that barb into a fish's gill, it can't get off. You know, it's there. So when we're confirmed in our faith, it's kind of like we've had the barb there.
Yeah.
So we've been baptized, we've been raised in this culture, we confirmed in our faith, and then we're hooked, and then we're on the line. We're just like the vine and the branches, you know, we're connected with God through what we believe in and what we practice.
Amen.
And then finally, this sinker, which holds the line straight, which if you don't have a weight on it in the tide or the stream or something, will make your line just come to the top. But this keeps the depth of our faith down there.
Right.
So now that's sermon number 102. You missed 85 to 102.
But it was great.
No, but you know, just take that
understand.
hook, line, and sinker idea, because it's some people, they go for something hook, line, and sinker, and it's real easy to understand if you can follow the fishing imagery. Anyway, back to the initial word that I said, a tired spirit. So once the boats were full of fish, the spirits must have jumped up.
Yeah.
And it was just one more indication that this guy that Peter, James, and John were following really had something.
Faith is its own reward, right?
Its own reward.
And it happens, miracles. You never quit 1 minute before the miracle happens. Picture a bunch of exhausted fishermen being told to try something in a different way, and then all of a sudden the abundance is overwhelming. The message is clear. Sometimes, even at the most exhausted point of our life, if we yet hold on to that faith, that belief, that trust, that, wisdom, that, I will look to the hills from whence my help will come. It can happen, right?
And who more than a fisherman wants another guy to
Exactly.
here's how you fish.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, roll your eyes and go, okay.
Yeah,
All righty then. I guess you probably have a better idea how I should be fishing than you do, because you've done so much fishing and you don't even have a pole. You don't have a net. You're not in the boat. But sometimes what's a good message is God doesn't answer prayers. Sometimes he sends people, and they are the answered prayer. Mm-hmm. The wisdom arrives to try that net in the other side of the boat in the deeper waters.
You've had a lot of experience with school kids and teachers, and I was wondering if you might make some comments about a teacher who's exasperated and has this tired spirit. And no matter what he or she does in the classroom, the kids don't seem to respond. They don't seem to follow or appreciate what the teacher's trying to do. And they're just, Friday afternoon, it's thank God it's Friday.
Right, exactly.
Maybe I can renew myself over the weekend.
Over the weekend, I get some downtime. But the thing that's funny is a lot of times the kids are in trauma themselves, and they arrive at school, even though trauma comes from the Greek word wound. And the woundedness that's in sometimes kids who arrive, they're looking for the healing medicine of other friends and the socialization, and they've been put behind masks, and they've been isolated, and they're doing Zoom learning and stuff. And the teachers are expected to get it all together and make all these things happen, and then meet the expectations of the school district. And everybody, truly, everybody needs to lighten up. There's a great term in Pig Latin for relax, which is Elax ray.
Relax, right?
Elax ray. Everybody in America and all of our teachers, all of our cops and firemen, we need to get into the Elax ray.
Ude, uye, igpe atenle. Aye, ude.
Tell them what you said, because there are some that don't know.
Ude, uye, igpe atenle. Do you speak Pig Latin?
What you do.
You know, I haven't done that probably since I was 8 or 9 years old. You're kidding me. How did that come out?
Perfect. It's so perfect for you, because that memory is so good for us to keep our brain, what they call check it out, folks, Stanford, Mr. Huberman, Professor Eagleman, neuroplasticity. The brain can grow at any time. You can reconnect the things from way back in your emotional archaeology. Picture that. You have emotional archaeology. You were just laughing. Yeah. I haven't done that in a long time. That neuroplasticity, where you go back in your memory and remember childhood memories, is so beneficial to your soul, right?
All I heard was X-ray ray.
Elax ray.
No, I thought you were going to say something about...
X-Lax?
Yeah.
We're not going to bring that up right now. Do you think Harry might be... Never mind. It seemed like it was on his mind.
I got to have some milk and magnesia.
And then get some Geritol right afterwards, before the Ted Mack Amateur Hour. Do you remember that?
Yes, of course.
Okay. See, he remembers Geritol.
You won it, didn't you?
I won the Gong Show.
Yeah.
I won the Gong Show with... Barris was on it. You know, I couldn't believe it.
We talked about that a couple of weeks ago.
Right.
You know, there's a woman that goes to Mass at where we are at our church.
St. Vincent's.
And she was a hostess on the Gong Show.
Are you serious?
No. You know who?
No.
Mariah.
Really?
She said she worked on the Gong Show.
Wow.
She said, when you see Pritchard, tell him that she was one of the hostesses.
Wow. I had so much fun on the Gong. Barris was so nice to me, and it was Mike Winslow and he was the guy from the movies that they did about the police, called Police Academy, and he did all the sounds and noises and stuff.
Oh.
And, you know.
Those are stupid movies. Were you in those?
No.
They never invited you.
Oh, no. They said, I'm sorry, he's a little bit too stupid for us, but we can't cast
Police
him.
Academy. Yeah.
Look at him. He's a moron. A single thought in his brain would die of loneliness. If he had a thought, it'd look like a BB going down a 4-lane highway. But what I did know was, you know, the joy of helping people, like when I'm sitting with seniors sometimes, Harry, because I work for Bread and Roses, and we do shows at senior citizens hospitals, prisons, jails, kids centers.
How about rectories where priests live?
Well, you know what? That's where we need to get our clergy, you know.
I didn't want to throw you aside there.
No, but I mean, we need to get our clergy back included and getting revitalized. I mean, they have to be like the firefighters, the cops. Everybody's in many ways beleaguered from what has been going on. And I have a son.
Spirits.
Yeah, my son is a doctor, and he's been on the front lines for 3 years. He had COVID. He and his wife both had COVID. He went right back to work. First in New York, and now down in New Orleans. But what we need to be reminded of is life is triage. There's lots of wounded out there. And we have to maintain that balanced spirit and that anchored faith that tells us that we can continue. It's a struggle. Mm-hmm. It's always a struggle. But for me, just like what you're talking about, when we're exhausted like that, we get up in the morning, and I'm reading John Greenblatt's book called "It Could Happen Here." What's dangerous, and what he talks about is what is dangerous, is when people are exhausted, when they are worn out. They're more susceptible to believe things that aren't true. In other words, about other people, about other faith systems. And that's what his book is about. It's called "It Can Happen Here," about turning to hardcore Nazism, which is what happened to his family. His father's family was from Germany, and his whole family was killed during the Holocaust. And then his wife's family was from Iran, and the same thing happened to the Jewish folks there. That it's really important. And if you read the book, it's a great book. He's got a really nice auto thing. He works for the Anti-Defamation League in order to protect people from the villainy of bullying, teasing, tormenting, and ridiculing other people. That's how people get more exhausted, Father. And when you see that, you have to address that. Dr. King's line. Martin Luther King said, there'll come a time in your life when you can do the right thing or look the other way. If you look the other way, you're already dead. You'll go on to the end of your days never knowing who you could have become, what you might have accomplished, what you were intended to do. But you've looked the other way, and you've done that because, as Elie Wiesel said, hate is not the enemy of love. It's more indifference. Looking the other way, not caring what happens to other people is part of the big thing. And that's from an exhausted spirit. And that's why what we're talking about today is really important. A faith system, a belief system, and expanding it out to believe that I know this, our firefighters are coming for us. Our cops are coming to help us. Our nurses and doctors are still on the front lines. Many have left. But there are so many doing so much that it's important for us to be reminded of how important it is. And one way to help them the most, and I think you know that, prayer, right? Prayer.
So I'm not doing a commercial for my new book, but this is the first book I did. The new book is called
book.
I'll Never Know, and it's a rock and roll priest looks at 80. And
Glad you're here.
You can't see this probably. Can anybody see this?
Yeah.
Oh, this
One right
camera
there.
over here.
Right, this one and that one. Yeah.
Anyway, it's this little baby that I baptized looking up at me and me looking through my glasses, and the eyes. And the title of the book is I'll Never Know, and it's because I have met so many tired spirits in my life, and I've had the blessing and the privilege of offering counsel, of listening, of being able to be some kind of a guidepost so that they can move on in their lives. And just like that little baby, I'll be dead by the time that child has his first major problem.
Right.
But who knows?
Yeah.
Who knows what you do, by us doing this and trying to bring some happiness and lightheartedness to the depths of people whose spirits are tired and worn out and who are looking for a way to get out of what they're doing. And
Plant seeds for the garden because somebody else might come along and bring the water, and that sun shines there all the time. And that's part of the grace of prayer. I think that what I've learned all the time, and I said especially when my wife was going through her most recent bout of cancer, was I could feel the prayers from our community.
Oh, yeah.
And I could feel the prayers from you, and all the folks in the church. You could feel them. Yeah. And it helps you continue on. You may sometimes at the end of a day be exhausted, but you can wake up renewed, figuring, okay, I can do this again, which is important.
I had a service on Zoom this last week from a baby that was born premature, lived about an hour, and then died because there was no formation of the lungs. But the young parents wanted a service, so they invited me to have this Zoom. And they buried the baby in the cemetery, and it was first time I've ever done this. But I had this little packet of seeds that had beautiful flowers on it, and there was a quotation from that package, And it wasn't by Mahatma Gandhi or Jesus or Abraham
Whoever.
Lincoln or Martin Luther King. It was by Audrey Hepburn.
Yeah.
Audrey Hepburn. And you know what
Stoic.
she said? She said, nobody plants a garden without hope. Nobody plants a garden without hope.
Right.
So if you're going to get out there and till the soil and put the seeds in the ground and know they're just little tiny seeds and they're going to die in the ground, but from that death of the seed comes a beautiful flower or a plant or a carrot or a turnip or some other very meaningful thing in life. So I thought that was, I tried to tell the young couple that, you know, this little baby was going to be an angel and would be a seed of hope for them for the rest of their lives.
You're a
you know.
good man, Padre.
And they'll have, you know, they'll have other children.
Sure.
Incidentally, I had 4 great nieces born in the last 6 months.
Wow.
And I'm sorry to say that 2 of them didn't make it, and this was one of them. The other one was born after, had to be taken after 22 weeks or something like that. But the other 2, Kayla Jean and what was the other one's name? Mariella. Mariella. You know, they were all 4 girls.
Yeah.
Amazing. So if you live long enough, you become a great uncle.
Uncle. Isn't that great? Yeah. Just holding that promise of tomorrow and the seeds that are laid within them, they're going to be seeing stuff that we never even could imagine, the stuff that we've seen, you know, I mean, in our lives, which is great. I think of what our family has seen change in the past 50 years.
You pay more attention to young people and what, you know, I always hear, well, we want to make this place a better world for those who come after us. And sometimes when you get older, your spirit does wear out quicker.
You're tired.
You go to bed earlier, you get up earlier, you doze off at things, like listening to you.
I could be used in a sleep deprivation clinic, folks. You can't operate heavy machinery and listen to my...
As you sleep during my sermon.
No, I drool.
Yeah, you drool.
I drool. Anyway.
Well, but, you know, as you get older, then you think, I got to do something with my life to help these younger... Because, you know, I have enjoyed my life.
Yeah.
Not that I'm going tomorrow, but who knows. But it's what is it that you need to do? Or do you feel that
Yes.
a lot?
All the time.
You do?
When I watch little kids, they are the promise of tomorrow. And I sometimes am completely overwhelmed by them trying to teach us valuable lessons. One whom I loved was right up the road here at Hamilton School. And I was asked from a friend of mine who was Big Steve, is a Marine, and his wife is a counselor. They said, could you talk to our daughter Grace's class in 2nd grade? And I was talking to him. I said, hey, boys and girls, not everything's a competition. You don't have to blow someone else's candle out to make sure that yours shines brighter. Not everything is a competition. It's not about that. You don't have to be mean or bully or tease. And one of the little girls was so thoughtful. 2nd grade, she goes, if you do that, bully people and put people down and blow out their candle, you'll be the one in the darkness. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And I was like, I looked over at the teacher, I went, whoa, wow. And that's what kids are trying to teach us. Collaboration, cooperation, compassion, sympathy, understanding, forgiveness. Those are the messages of humanity's heart. those are the things that we can guide people through. And, you know, me and Padre, we say our prayers on Sundays and all through the week to try, and I do my rosary all the time, and it's just to make things a little bit better.
Yeah.
Just to make it a little bit better, softer, gentler. Pump the brakes every once in a while and say the things you need to say to your family and friends.
So this will be my final little story here on the. This is a real happening in 2013 at Valley Springs Manor. Wow. They had their inspection, and it was a home for older citizens, and they didn't pass the inspection. So they were going to lose their license, and they were out of money. So they just, the owners of the place just left. They just left. And there were
They abandoned all these
there were
folks.
20 people living in the house, residents, and they abandoned them. So two guys, Maurice Rowland and Miguel Alvarez. One was a cook and one was a janitor. They worked around the clock. They took off an hour or two a day and went home and showered and changed clothes and came back. Between the janitor and the cook, they kept the place going for a few days until social services could come in. So when they were asked about it, they were saying, well, we just were doing meaningful work, healing tired spirits. So that's where I got that tired. These people are.
There's your sermon.
These people are have tired spirits. They're not sure when the next, change of bed clothes or
anything.
Get their medicine. One guy, Miguel, he went and got the keys and got all their medicine, took them regularly, took their pills.
The best sermon is a good example, right?
That's it, yeah.
That's how you commit. Even when you're exhausted, folks, when you're tired, the spirit's worn and weary, when the fatigue has set in and you feel like you've got no gas left in the tank, still keep on. Stoic, heroic. Stoic, heroic. Believe strongly in the heroic actions of helping other people. When you do that, that's the heart of Christ.
Brings me back to a word you used about 20 minutes ago. You said it was from the Greek, trauma.
Trauma, yeah, wound, yeah.
Yeah. Well, vulnus is the Latin word. Vulnerable comes from that.
Vulnerable.
Yeah.
Vulnus.
Vulnus is the Latin. So that's the first I knew of trauma. But you probably know a little more Greek than
I don't know anything. If you watch my family at dinner, when I say anything, the whole family goes like this. Okay. Oh, thanks, Dad. Thanks for sharing that. That was swell, Pop. And then they all look. Even the baby goes.
Hey.
Even the baby goes like this. He's fine. He goes, oh, there he goes again. Oh, what are you going to teach us now, Grandpa?
Hey, you brought me all the way back to Pig Latin.
To Pig Latin. Can't get better.
Ude uye antwe ute eBay, professorship bay, and igpay atenle. Stay tuned to the Pritch and Padre. So we'll be back again, and hopefully we can continue these conversations to help engender a better spirit in life, one that's not mean or hurtful, but one that can overcome the exhaustion that you might be experiencing in your own life. So have a wonderful, wonderful day, week, year, month, life.
Blessings and prayers your way from both of us.